Justice League Unlimited issue 14, Mark Waid writing with Dan Mora on the art. You may proceed, Matt.
Yep. Yeah, so this actually does more for pushing the mainline KO story than I've seen, because we've been stuck in the fight month stuff.
Interesting.
So yeah, so here we find out
to be clear, this was the one that I was maybe going to read. Like, this was kind of teetering because it's not a fight issue month issue, so I was like, oh, maybe I will read this one still, and then it just kind of fell through the cracks at the end. But
yeah, so this was one I almost didn't read, but I was like, I won't do that to Pete. Here I am now, carrying that on. The Watchtower side of things is Red Tornado, funnily enough, is back in his body. So I wonder if that has something to do with Justice League Red, because that all takes place before, right? And basically the Watchtower gets cut off from everything else here, because you have Neron, right? Is manipulating all these other villains, and he's made this like church that Red Tornado sends a team down to, and that team is, let me see, because there's a lot of team stuff in this. We got Mary Marvel, Dr. Colt, Martian Manhunter, and Kid Flash, and they go in and they find this big green church in the middle of in the middle of Oklahoma City that is being destroyed. So like there's this big green force field, this big green church, and it looks like it's dedicated to Neron. And there's someone administering like a baptism to this guy, and he tells him that he's forever saved, and he looks up and says thank you. And administering this thing is Atomic Skull, and Wally Kid Flash runs over there and knocks him down, and there's this big explosion. And then there's all these other villains there that are like, oh, we're the holy army of Neron. By the end of the issue, the Watchtower ends up being compromised, and it shuts down all evacuation routes. So everything that they were doing to get people off now is halted. It says, unless we can, who is then there? It's one of the challengers. It's like, unless we can figure out a problem fast, no one has a prayer of surviving. Right. So that's what's going on there. So it feels like in some of the other KO issues, in the fighting issues, we're getting the thing that the Watchtower, everything that's happening with Darkseid is on one. And now here on Earth, all of the support the Watchtower was giving to help the Titans evacuate and all of that stuff is going just as badly. And now that stopped. Neron is running his games here by converting people during the end of days, right? And then down in hell, we have, the Terrific 10, which is now the 7. And we got Dr. Fate, Aquaman, which is the Peter David one, right? Dr. Fate from the future. We got Batman Beyond, but they still call him Tim, which still think is a mess up. It easily could have been Terry McGinnis. We had Electric Superman, Owl Woman, and Goldhawk with Mr. Terrific, and they're walking through this dark, and it's this wall is just made out of souls. Like, it is something straight out of a horror movie. There's just faces in the walls. They get startled. Aquaman starts to sense like water in the near, and it's the helmsman of the River Styx. I think it's Charon. I never learned how to properly pronounce it, but he's the one that you have to give the coins to get across the river in Greek mythology. And Mr. River's like, oh, I thought about this. We're going to the underworld. I figured we'd run into him. So he has these coins, and Charon won't take them. He goes, you can't be serious. I'm not just going to take coins. I need something personal from each of you. And so Batman Beyond gives him a one of his batarangs. And Owl Woman gives her a cryo gun, which is like, this is pretty necessary in hell, but I guess that's the point of this. Goldhawk gives a nth metal medallion. Dr. Fate gives bracers. And when it gets to Mr. Terrific and Superman, they don't really have anything to give. So they give up concepts that they believe in to Charon, which is super weird. He gives up. Mr. Terrific gives up his sense of justice and fair play. So his fair play tattoos just disappear. Like they go off his skin and they're gone. And the only thing that Superman has to give is his sense of hope. And then so that's what he takes. So there's this really cool scene where the helmsman reaches this skeletal hand out, and you see this like white figure come out of Superman and disappear into wisps. And then now Superman's depressed. He's like, all I feel is emptiness. Everything's meaningless. Nothing matters. And they set adrift down the river. And this is when a lot of the other stuff happens. And, they end up on this boat ride, and they're like, it's too quiet. Like, we're in hell. This should be a lot more difficult. And they talk about that in all these different mythologies across the world, that, this is something that everybody has to cross this river. And yeah, as they are saying this, it doesn't become so still anymore as this big sea serpent-like creature comes out of the river Styx. And Aquaman runs in there and he defeats it, but not before it spears him through. And now we're down from 7 to 6. And it leaves the boat leaves them at this dock. They've made it through. They paid a price. And Mr. Terrific looks completely just defeated as they're on the other side of this river, but now they're another man down. So the Watchtower is screwed on this final page. The Watchtower is screwed. Mr. Terrific has no hope left, just like Superman. And then they're having issues at this Church of Neron in Oklahoma City. And yeah, it's just not looking good for the Justice League Unlimited. So yeah, man, I'm until KO is over and this gets an identity again, I think I'm out, because this book just feels like it's just going through motions. Like, it's trying. WAID and Mora, the art looks great. Like, everything on here, like that scene of Superman losing his hope. If it's not for Mora's art, it would be funny. Because, like, again, he's like, now Superman's depressed and he's hopeless, but Mora draws everything with the body language so well. Like, you didn't need him saying that to get what was going on.
What does he look like? Does he look like George Michael in Arrested Development walking away sad? Like, all hope's gone now.
You're not far off. Like, his head is down. Yep. And so, yeah, this book just doesn't have an identity. And it hasn't since it started. When you start to look, like, the only point of Justice League Unlimited, it felt, was to set up KO, right? Because we had the whole, I forget even what they were called, but it ended up being the Injustice League, or whatever we called them. The Legion of Doom.
It was like, right? Yeah, the group of villains that just turned out to be all the Legion of Doom and Hoods, which were partly a time-traveling Grodd, which tied into World's Finest. And then quite quickly after that, it became just a couple of tie-ins to KO, and now we're just doing KO tie-ins right now. So, yeah.
And that's all this is seeming to be. And, like, I know the point is all these characters are meant to feel expendable, right? But it just feels like you can see the writing on theirs. As soon as the Sea Serpent came up, you're like, oh, Aquaman's done for. And at least it was a lot more ceremonious in this one than it was in some of the other ones in the last issue, right? But yeah, it just in a week that was so stacked as this one, I got to this last night and I was like, I don't really want to read this one. And then I read it and again, I feel bad because it's not bad. It's just I don't see the point. The
last issue felt like fluff to me, which is why I didn't want to read this. I felt like nothing of meaning was going to come out of it, but. And it's very subjective in a lot of ways, but I just sometimes it's really nebulous to say what feels like it matters and what doesn't. But this, to me, just unquestionably last issue feel like this does not matter. This just feels like doing stuff just to fill out more comic book pages until this event's over. In the same way that Night Fight just feels like, hey, there's just random shit we're going to do until this is over.
Yep.
So.
Yeah. Well, I feel like too, there's not a point like. A focus, because they're trying to focus on the Watchtower and Earth and Hell. If it was just the whole story in Hell and we were developing these concepts a little bit more, like, what's the point of going into Hell if Earth is screwed anyways? Like, shouldn't they be up on there trying to manage things, and there's that conflict there if we should be elsewhere, not down here. I think that would be a lot more fun to read. But trying to split it between all these different ones, there's so much going on, and it's hard to care about any of the stories, because it's I feel like we're not getting enough of one. So yeah, it's a bummer. But so I think until at least KO is over, I think I'm fine skipping this one. Because yeah, this was the one out of the fighting things. I got Hayden Sherman art in one, and I got Mark Waid right in the other. So at least there was that. This just felt like you said, fluff. It's just there. So I'll just move on. I'll rate this. I'll give this 6.5.